Hello there, Eagles and football fans, and welcome back to our Eagles Therapy Podcast. My name is Basil.
And I'm Baz.
And we are recording Sunday, February 11th, 2024, not 40 minutes after the Kansas City Chiefs defeated the San Francisco 49ers in what was early on a pretty boring game, but turned into a pretty darn good game. Dad, what'd you think?
Yeah, I would say that because we were watching that game. It was, 10-3 at half, and we're like, my gosh, this is boring. Really, Kansas City looked awful. 49ers should have been up. I don't know, 17.
I mean, we were saying it at one point when they were down 10-3. We were like, dude, the Chiefs are lucky they're down only 10-3 because they were getting kind of destroyed. It shows you how important scoring and ending drives is because man, it felt like they were getting killed. But it was just. I mean, and I don't want to say it was boring because really, I didn't really have any team in this race, and I didn't really want either team to win. Yeah, and I know that sounds weird, but it's what it was. So it worked out to where the better team, I would say, won. I'm kind of glad that the Chiefs beat the Niners because, we got beat up a lot on our podcast after the Niners beat us pretty good. And, they thought they were going to the Super Bowl, and they went to the Super Bowl, and they lost the Super Bowl just like we did. Yeah. And it's so funny listening to everybody talking about it. They didn't lose the Super Bowl. Pat Mahomes won the Super Bowl. Yeah, so what are they going to, I asked you, what are they going to say about last year?
Pat Mahomes drove the ball, and then at the 15-yard line, they called a crappy penalty, and the game ended on that.
So is that, did we lose, because last year, did we not lose the Super Bowl? Did the refs win the Super Bowl? I don't know. I'm just wondering. I just thought that was a strange way to say the Niners didn't lose the Super Bowl. Mahomes won it. Okay, well, last year we didn't lose it then, but the refs won it. Yeah. So I don't know what we want to say here, but that's okay.
Yeah.
As always, we're going to be talking about the Super Bowl, but before we get into that, we want to give a little shout out to the club, as always. Philadelphia Eagles fan club in Colorado Springs. I'm sure they're all happy right now. We obviously, of course, they're all probably feeling the same way we are. We don't like either of these teams, but we definitely wanted one team to win more than the other, and that happened for us. So if you want to watch an Eagles game with us next season, come on down to Frankie's on Powers and Galley. We'd love to have you. Two things I want to say before we really dig deep into it. Number one, congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs, to all their fans, to the city of Kansas City, to everyone around who's a Chiefs fan. Hats off to you. Congrats.
Man.
Hats off to Niners fans and the Niners team. They did play a great game. They played a very good game. This game was very similar to last year's Super Bowl in the sense of they just got outplayed. The other team, like us last year, the Niners this year, neither team played bad. They played great. Yeah. But the other team was the Chiefs.
But I'll tell you this much. Mahomes. I will say this. If the Chiefs had played like that against us last year, there's no way. I mean, we were scoring at points at will in our. Yeah. I don't know.
Their defense is better this year, so maybe. But you're right. It did feel like that.
The 49ers defense is incredible.
Yeah, they were incredible.
They just. I mean, we all know what Mahomes is going to do. That's not. Let's not. You said it. You would never bet against him, and neither would I. And that's why I picked them to win it. But they just. I don't know. I just thought. And I don't know how far you want to get into it, but some of the play calling that Andy made was just ridiculous.
We'll get into some of that stuff, but let me finish my last thought. So,
yes, go ahead.
Congrats to Chiefs fans. Congrats to the Niners. Not congrats. Hats off to the Niners team. They played a great game. I want to say before we get into everything, I'm very sorry for what happened to Dre Greenlaw. Our prayers and thoughts go out to him and his family and his fans and his team, and it's just really a bummer. We don't wish for injuries on this podcast. Hopefully, no one ever does. Especially in that way.
It's just weird.
It was just so sad. It was just very unfortunate. I mean, for that to happen, to end your season in the Super Bowl, just running onto the field, right. It's just such a bummer. I'm so really sorry.
Because you and I were watching it, obviously, and we had a couple TVs on. And, we're like, what's going on?
No idea what happened.
What happened? So they just punted, and the guy fumbled the punt, and then you could see they showed the 49er guys
getting ready
on
to
the
go
sidelines, and they were kind of excited. Which you can expect.
Yeah, of course.
And they came running out, and then you saw the one guy fall, and you kind of went,
I had no idea what
happened there.
And then out of nowhere, they're bringing a cart, and So I'm very sorry for that happening to you. Hopefully you come back a speedy recovery and come back better than ever. We don't wish for that sort of stuff, so I'm very sorry about that.
The funny thing, though, was that you expected, because he's such a great player.
Yeah,
he's one of the best linebackers in the league.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, oh no, and their defense really didn't miss a click. So whoever they stuck in after him was still just as good.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy was
Well, Fred Warner makes up for a lot because he's just incredible.
They were flying all over the place early on.
All right, let's go ahead and jump into it now with my apologies and my well wishes behind. Bang, bang, Niner gang.
Yeah.
I had to do it.
Yeah.
We are victims of I can't say we're victims because we did really appreciate the views and the boost of comments that we received. But earlier this year, when the Eagles lost to the 49ers in what I will say was embarrassing fashion,
awesome.
We had a lot of Niners fans come into our comments and our views and kind of rip us a new one.
Definitely.
They had a good time wrecking us and talking smack. There were a few aside that were really good fans, and I'll shout you out in just a moment.
There were some good ones, but most of them were
mostly bad ones. Mostly poor
digs
sports.
In the back.
Yeah. Mostly poor sports who I'm assuming were part of the 40 whiners who whined when Purdy got hurt last year.
Right.
What's your excuse this year? Dre Greenlaw? That's not big enough. But let me just say, bang, bang, Niner gang. You lost a Super Bowl just like us.
Yes, you did.
And we lost to you this year in embarrassing fashion. And guess what? You lost to us last year in embarrassing fashion. So it looks like we're not too far apart. And before you start mentioning rings, how about we start talking from this century forward?
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. 30 years almost now. I mean, I guess next year would be. So it was the 1995 Super Bowl. So really another year from now. So 29 years since they've tasted.
Hysterical.
Fit in a ring, but
I love it. I love it. Let's talk about the game now, Dad. Aside from that, we'll get back to the 49ers fans and 40 Winers fans in just a moment.
I get you.
Horrible first half. 10-3 to end the half. 0-0 first quarter.
I think there was not three and outs, but the Niners did drive early. Then McCaffrey
fumbled the ball.
The king fumbled the ball.
The greatest running back on earth.
Yeah, he fumbled the ball. Kind of close, and then it was kind of back and forth. I mean, the Chiefs had no offense in that first quarter at all.
Oh, my gosh. At all. I
mean,
terrible.
And, the Niners did move the ball a little bit, but then it seemed like punt, like back and forth. Of course, the thing that was driving me insane was every time the 49ers punted, the Chiefs were trying to block it, not setting up a return and getting destroyed. I mean, I don't know who number two. Number 2 is Williams, I think.
Yeah, he played terrible.
He was blocking on the outside, and he just I was surprised Andy Reid didn't pull him out of the game and just say, "Son, sit down. You don't know what you're doing," because he almost got his punt returner killed like 3 times, and it was all because of his side, the guy that was coming down his side. I guess it was Conley, who had played for the Chiefs years earlier or something.
Conley,
like
I don't know his first name, but Conley, the wide receiver, he had a great game.
But no, it was a great game, and it was definitely a chess match. You could tell they were doing different things back and forth. But I didn't bite my nails. I really felt that no matter what happened, Mahomes was going to win the game at the end, and he did.
I know.
I mean, and then, of course, the thing that got you and I was the first quarter of overtime was almost over, and I went, what?
Yeah.
These guys, hurry up. It's going to run out of time. Well, apparently there's new rules for overtime.
Yeah.
And I don't know them, so I guess you can put me in the McNabb category there because
I mean, obviously,
no clue.
We obviously knew the overtime rules in the sense that both teams have to get the ball.
Yes,
no matter what, score, touchdown, field goal, whatever.
But there's a clock, and I thought when a clock hits 0, you better have tied it up or scored and win the game.
Yeah,
and they didn't, but they scored right at the end, which was very confusing. So
it's weird. If the score is still tied at the end of the overtime period, or if the second team's initial possession has not ended, which it had not ended.
Yes, you're right.
The teams will play another overtime period. Play will continue regardless of how many overtime periods are needed for a winner to be determined.
So it's so funny that really sudden death overtime or overtime was set up so that would not happen.
Yeah.
But apparently what would go on is you would end your drive or tie the game up, and we would play.
If they kicked a field goal there,
right,
they would have continued the game.
But if the Niners got the ball back
and went and scored,
it got a
touchdown
field goal. Would it be over?
No, I don't believe so. I think it would have to keep going.
I don't know.
I believe it would have to keep going because that's not really fair.
But you already each had the ball, so we do need a little bone up on that just to check it out and see what it is because you know how regular overtime worked. You kick a field goal, you get down. You don't kick a field goal, your game's over.
Yeah.
Or you score a touchdown, you win.
Yeah. Now overtime rules with regular season are still the same. Touchdown wins the game.
Right.
But it's postseason only. Yes. Yeah. That was interesting. I kind of forgot about that part, and we were freaking out. We were like, why did they call a timeout?
Hurry up. Yes.
Yeah.
It was weird.
It was weird. But let's just say, terrible first half. Just felt like bad football. It continued. Like from the season, I talked about the season being a pretty bad football season as far as quality of football. It felt like that again because the postseason had been really good, I felt like. Aside from Baltimore 2 weeks ago, they were terrible.
You mean as far as
quality of football, intelligence, discipline,
the
IQ of football. Now the first half was terrible. The Chiefs were throwing punches and getting in fights. I'm like, what are you doing? Showboating. Even the Niners pointing in guys' faces. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, take it easy.
You can't do that.
I know.
But I understand somebody shoved you in the back or whatever. But we all know it's always the second or third guy in. So
which they do need to change that, but that's
I don't know what the alternative is. Turn around, do a spin, I don't know, do a handstand, do something, but don't get the penalty because at one point they had stopped. I think it was maybe it was 3rd and 4. Instead, you gave him a first down because you slapped the guy in the head with a face mask.
It's crazy.
But the one thing that I really liked about this game was, and I wish it happened last year in the game, a lot of penalty calls. Of course, there was a few missed holds and things like that you and I were screaming about.
Early on, there was a lot of flags, but then it did mellow out.
But they did call a few that needed. But again, on the McCaffrey backward pass things touchdown, there was a guy 8 yards downfield, and I'm telling you, man, 100 out of 100 times they would have called us for that penalty. Yeah. And I was screaming, there's got to be somebody watching. And that's another thing. Remember when the players were fighting? All these black hat guys ran on the field, and we're confused. Who are those dudes?
I thought it was a staff member at first, and they were like fight breaker uppers.
Yeah.
And I was like,
there's 4 of them.
Yes, I'd never seen them in the Super Bowl before. Maybe they were there last year. I don't know. But at one point early on, a kind of argument started, and a guy comes out, and I'm like, was that a staff member of the Chiefs?
Yes.
Like, what are you doing? And then a Niners guy.
They had black hats on and black jackets.
And I couldn't tell the NFL logo was on their head. Right. I thought it was a Chiefs logo.
Right. I know you
then
saw
I thought the other side was the Niners logo. And I'm like, what are these guys doing?
It happened once, and then it happened again, and then I looked at you and I said, Who are those guys?
By the 3rd or 4th time it happened, there was like 5 or 6 of them. And I was like, and it was at the end of the half.
Yeah, it was
And
weird.
they all came on. I was like, oh, those are like assistant backup refs almost. I don't know. Like they can't throw flags, but they're there to break up.
I don't know where you could look that up or
or
Google it or something, but I wonder who those guys were because they definitely were not the white shirts. They were not the line judge. They weren't the back judge.
They weren't a part of the ref team, but they were definitely there to assist in something.
And they let them call the penalties. Those guys didn't miss anything.
I know, yeah.
But and I'm glad there was a few on both teams too. I saw like one time Bosa kind of hit Mahomes in the helmet.
Yeah,
but he didn't slap him. But I've seen it 100 times. The player's hand
hits a quarterback
just
helmet.
touches it, and they call it. And then of course they called that one the horse collar tackle.
Oh gosh,
against
on Purdy.
Purdy was running, and I mean he didn't even tackle him.
I know.
And I did look to see if he had his pads, but I guess now the shirt's enough.
Yeah.
But that was weird because the guy was even positioned on the side of him, kind of. But
yeah. So 6 penalties against each team, 5 punts by each team. Kind of funny. Total of this game, Dad, there was 7 fumbles, and this is what I mean by quality of football.
Yeah.
The first half, I don't think they weren't all in the first half. I think the Niners, obviously the Niners fumble the punt that was in the second half. But mostly all of them were the first half. Now there was only 4 turnovers out of those 7 fumbles. Right. There was a pick as well that counts towards.
So it must have been the 32-degree weather and the rain.
No.
Oh wait,
inside.
They were playing inside. It was 75 degrees.
I know.
Yeah. Okay. So
funny?
That was confusing. And the one guy that almost fumbled the punt. I mean, my Lord. Well, then
the Chiefs guy. Yeah, that counts as a fumble. And then the Niners guy
hit his foot. So that was kind of an odd play too.
It's funny because you and I heard it. We said, I was like, who touched it? And then the guy runs to grab the ball, and they're like, what is he doing? I'm like, it touched a guy. Yeah. You heard it. I heard it.
Yeah, it was a loud sound too, almost like a thunk. But yeah, there was the McCaffrey fumble early, and then Pacheco had the fumble inside the 10, and that's when Kelsey almost gave Andy Reid a sumo hold because he was so mad he ran into him and almost knocked him over, which I don't know. I thought Andy Reid was going to eject Travis for that. Hit him.
Rough.
He wasn't even looking up, man. He almost knocked him off his feet.
That was crazy.
It was crazy.
Especially being that early in the game. It was the second quarter.
But then you found out why, because he was mad.
Yeah, he was mad because Noah Gray was in who
missed the block,
caused the fumble, and then, makes sense.
Boy, but I mean, so that was surprising, though. That was a weird play.
So, it felt like a pretty bad first half, and it felt like it was going to continue when Mahomes threw that pick to start the third quarter. But it's funny how a boring game early on turns into a classic. It ends up 25-2. I would have never expected this many field goals to have been kicked in this game. I don't know. I should have looked up how many field goals it was. But
Moody hit 2, and he had one blocked extra point. But he would have hit a 57 and a 53, and then Butker kicked something in the 50s too.
It was a 57. Moody hit a 55 and a 53. Man. Yes, yeah.
So what was that one stat?
It was a stat but in the first 57 Super Bowls, only 7 field goals had been a 50 yards or more, and in this game today there was 3.
That's crazy.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, it's crazy.
So weird. And then, man, it tells you how big that extra point is sometimes. They would have.
Well,
Mahomes, they would have had to score a touchdown, not kick a field goal in that last,
right. And
end
it's funny,
of quarter drive.
You could always say, well, that point, but you play the game differently after that point. But you're right. You and I looked at each other and said, that's killer.
Yeah, it makes it a 3-point game.
It wouldn't necessarily mean that the game automatically they would have lost because they would have had a stick. But, because you'd be calling different plays. But and as far as calling plays, too, right before the half when Kansas City had the ball inside the 10.
Horrible.
And they ran it 2 times, and it was right up the gut where they were having no success at all. I mean, and then, I was telling you earlier, too, during the game, like, Mahomes has got to have a couple design runs. And you looked at me and said, well, he doesn't do that. And I said, you're right, he doesn't do that. But they should do it. And then they ended up doing it.
They did it twice.
Twice.
Both of them were
And
great.
The one I thought was going to be a game winner, but early on when he had that big one to get him a first down. But, I thought when he took off there towards the end, he was going to run in for a touchdown.
Yeah.
And that was when they kicked the field goal to tie it up.
No, that was on the touchdown drive.
Was that the touchdown drive? Okay.
Yeah. I thought he was about to put it away, but yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Yep.
But that was and I hate, as much as, we were pulling for him to do well, even though we didn't want either team to win. When he took off, you just go, man, that's the play that you can't stand against when it happens against you.
Yeah, that's one of those plays where it's funny because
he takes off.
Any time before this game, I always cheer against the Chiefs. This was a big exception. This is very similar, and I've said it to some people. This is very similar to what I said back in the day would be. Back in the 2010s, early then, right. I'd always said if the Patriots in Dallas play in the Super Bowl, I don't know what I'm gonna do.
We're gonna go to
I'd have to cheer for the Patriots, but it would be soul sucking. It would be so painful, and that's how
a little bit of you would die inside.
Yes,
right?
And that's kind of how I felt today. It's not as bad at that level. I still hate Dallas more than Niners. We're getting close there, though.
Yeah,
and I definitely hated the Patriots more than I hate the Chiefs. But I do hate the Chiefs still. So it was hard because usually if I see him escape a pocket, I'm like, can someone just hit him?
Yeah.
Just grab his face mask if you have to. Hit him. But
and that's funny.
But today, man, to see him run like that, I was like,
that's another thing. I've said in the past, and I've been wrong. And now Purdy's been playing for 2 seasons now, and I say, he can't scramble, he can't get away.
Okay.
He gets away from sacks.
He does.
I don't know. He makes himself small, and it drives me insane when I see these guys try to hit him high, hit right at his hip, go right at his waist, knock him down. He doesn't really have the speed, but he can duck out of the sack. And he did it 2 or 3 times today. The one time he ended up getting out, but then they got whacked again. But that was nice. But he
had a great play to McCaffrey when he got away from a sack.
Yeah, he just kind of flipped it up in the air.
Right in, got him in there.
But boy, he was close to a couple picks. One should have caught it right in the first play of overtime. He was diving, but that was a bad pass. And then there was that one, and I really think that needs to be an NFL change. When Purdy he looked like he threw the ball
into the ground,
and it just kind of came out of his hand wrong, is what they said. I thought he got hit. Of course, that was the holding penalty, and then they got the
third and 15.
Yeah.
Let me also say this. I know I'm trying to change all of history here, so there might be people who disagree with me, but there's a lot of people who ask for rule changes all the time. People want to get rid of the tush push. People want to get rid of the fumble through the end zone touchback. Here's mine. On 3rd and 15, a 5-yard penalty should not give you an automatic first down.
Yeah.
The holding, it's a 5-yard penalty.
Yeah.
You should not get an automatic first down.
I
happens
tend
too
to
much.
Agree with you on that.
It happens too much. It's too easy to call on those 3rd and 15 sometimes. And I just think they need to get rid of that.
Well, I mean,
especially if the quarterback throws the ball into the ground 5 yards away from him.
And the play is on the other side of the field.
Why is the flag being thrown at all?
I mean, maybe
he threw the ball into the ground, but
maybe it needs to be some sort of flagrant type situation where
I don't know.
He's got you beat and he's cutting outside and you tackle him.
Yeah.
Then I could see it being a first down.
Yeah.
But that would be pass interference.
Well, if the ball's in the air.
True.
It has to be if the ball is still in the pocket in his hand.
And that was what they called. I think they called.
Yeah, they called holding. It was before
ball
he got
was
rid of the
still
ball.
in the pocket.
Yeah,
the quarterback still in the pocket.
Yeah, it was a holding, and I don't know.
I
I understand it was a holding. I'm not going to say it wasn't a holding.
Hooked him.
It was.
He did hook him.
But why is a 5-yard penalty giving people a first down
on
3rd and 15?
Right.
I don't like that. It's just
give him the down over.
It's getting
5 yards. Give him the down over.
So if we're gonna get rid of the tush push and we're gonna get rid of that fumble through the end zone touchback that everyone hates, it's time to get rid of the 5-yard penalty giving you an automatic first down.
Right.
If it's a 6-yard or more, distance.
No, I get what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
Just give him 3rd down and give him 5 yards, and now it's 3rd and 10 now. 3rd and 5. Or
it's 3rd and 10 now. Yeah, weird. Just weird thing to see. I don't know. You got anything else to say about the game? Any other comments on it?
Well,
it was great to see Jason there. Jason Kelsey, of course.
Yeah, it was kind of cool.
It's funny because Travis was being interviewed with the statue at the end, and they kept showing Taylor, and we're like, no, I want to see Jason.
Yeah.
And it finally showed Jason, and we all erupted.
Yeah, he was pretty stoic. He wasn't jumping around. He was, being pretty serious at the time.
I'm sure he was cheering earlier.
I don't think he had a 12-pack or anything in him yet, but it was good that he was there, and we were excited to see him, and it was kind of cool that he got to see his brother win, Take what you want, hate a team, not hate a team, hate a player. But when brothers are at a game supporting each other, you got to cheer for them. It's kind of like when you see one of the Chiefs guys who, hugging his mom, and that's that's cool. Well, that's cool about sports. I
think something that's become very captivating. I don't want to get too into outside of football,
right?
But what makes the Kelsey brothers' relationship so captivating to the media and everything like that? Because they were big even before the whole Taylor Swift thing. I know if you're a Taylor Swift fan watching, you might not have known they were actually famous before.
Right,
but,
right.
I think what made them so captivating is you don't often see men showing love to each other, and I'm not saying
an emotion.
I'm not saying in a that way. I'm saying in a brotherly way.
Right.
It's kind of frowned upon. It's become frowned upon in this society. It's getting better as of late, showing emotion.
Right.
But these guys show emotion and love for each other, and I think that's what makes their relationship so captivating and so big for watching and such a big media presence in our life right now.
Becomes a story. So do you want to throw any stats out from the game?
I mean, I can talk about the quarterbacks first. Brock Purdy, 23 of 38.
Okay.
At one point, how did he start? I'm sorry.
Well,
he started...
I forgot
what it was. At one point...
he was 4 or 5 or 5 of 5 early on in the game. And then I know at one point, late in the third quarter, he was 4 for 11
since starting,
17 yards in the second half.
So,
and that was late in the third quarter.
So
they really hit the ball that whole early third quarter. But again, then the Chiefs really hadn't scored any points.
I think he was like 9 of 11 at one point for 138
early on,
and then he was 4 of 11 for 37, like you
17.
said, 17. Yeah,
which was really
it's funny. He played a good game. I won't say a great game. He definitely missed a few targets here and there, but he also had some great plays. The one to McCaffrey, like I said, great throw to Ayuk and to Jennings at times.
Yeah, he had some good picks.
But I didn't think he was incredible, but he played a good game.
Well, the thing I can say about him, and again, I'm Mr. Irrelevant and all that, and they've tried to blow that story up, but good quarterback of the future. I was hoping he wouldn't this year. When I first started the season, I said he was just going to be a flash in the pan. I was wrong.
Yeah,
I was right about the Seattle Seahawks quarterback, who I said was not going to be that good this year, and he was not that good this year.
Yeah, Geno,
who everyone was, he wouldn't come back as a player last year and everything. But no, Purdy's definitely a good quarterback. Not much else I can say about it. McCaffrey's still amazing. He only had 3.5 yards of carry in this game.
It was so good to see him.
So he did not have a great game. I know he had maybe 80 yards. 89 yards.
Oh, no. Yeah, he had at one point 50 yards rushing and 54 receiving. So he got over to 100.
He finished with 8 for 80 in the receiving department, but he
had 80. He had 80 rushing, so he ended up with 160 total all-purpose
yards. But he was only 3.5 yards of carry. He had a few good carries early, but they stuffed him a few times. It's funny. Pennell, big guy from Kansas City.
Geez.
What are you doing on the sidelines, buddy? I saw him on there one time. I'm like, what does he do? He comes out, he makes a 3-yard loss play, and then he's not on the field again.
The next play, he's walking off high-fiving.
Get him on the field.
Why is he coming off the field?
No.
And I know it's for rest and rotation, but dude, get him on the field.
And Chris Jones, too, he was out for a little bit. I don't know if he was injured.
There was times they took him out, probably, obviously for rotation purposes, but it was definitely like, why is he not on the field in this play?
It's 3rd and 12. Get in there.
Yes.
That was weird to me. But
he played a great game as well, but let's talk about Patrick Mahomes, the other quarterback, the MVP.
Yeah.
One MVP, 34 of 40. We don't have to stay too long on this because we all know it. It's been established. I mean, we kind of knew it last year. We knew it in his second year in the NFL, third year in the NFL, that he was going to probably be an all-time great. He's really established himself probably right now as a top 3 all-time, and he's only 28 years old. So that's a little scary going forward.
I don't know, though, about next year. They started talking three-peat and all that. They kind of had that middle of the season this year where they were down, and I really think teams are learning how to beat him, how to stop him.
I just don't know if there is a way.
I know. Just don't get in overtime, I guess. But he did lose some games this year, and they didn't look good. And Travis looked bad, and now he's looking good again now. But what's going to happen next year? So we'll see. But
that's the thing about them. Early on, they looked very disconnected, especially on that pick.
Oh my Lord,
he threw.
Yeah.
You were like, man, they're just off. But you knew.
Yeah.
it's gonna happen at some point.
Yeah, don't let it.
I don't know when it's gonna happen, but it's gonna happen. And that's kind of what happened with the Niners. They did make that mistake. They let them hang around too much.
Yeah.
They kind of played with their food. They could have put them away earlier. They probably could have come back anyways, but I don't know. They could have put them away earlier, and that's what
until they had that really good drive in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
I thought they were just going to get from that point on. I thought Kansas City was going to score another 2 touchdowns and make it, 28-10 or whatever it was, 16, whatever. Yeah, but I really thought, and I was surprised, and they sure showed their resiliency. Kansas City's offensive line. If you got a good player out there, you need to trade somebody. Trade to them because they need an offensive lineman.
They really do.
They are hurting on the offensive line. Of course, Bosa's amazing, and so were Hargrave.
They have Hargrave, Chase Young.
Chase Young was good in the first half, but he didn't do much in the second half.
Sort of disappeared. I know what you mean.
But Bosa,
he's great.
He could play right now, an hour later. That guy is unbelievable.
He is amazing.
He just does not stop. He is full go, man. Great player. Great draft pick. I mean, he's a great player. So we'll see what happens next year. Sometimes when you lose a Super Bowl,
this is kind
of have some issues.
I mean, the Niners definitely showed their resilience to that sort of stuff. They lost the Super Bowl back in 2020, 2019 season, 2020, February of 2020, and they, they're back in the Super Bowl a few years later.
Right, different quarterback,
yeah, and that just shows Kyle Shanahan. He's a great coach.
Great quarterback.
So happy to see him lose, but he's a great coach.
No, he's a great coach. Great play calling. Knows how to do things. Defense too. Wilkes played defense coordinator, is amazing too. But they got the players.
Yeah. Going into running back, I mean, if they have Christian McCaffrey, they have a good team. That's really all you got to say. Kind of funny though, not a great game for the running backs this Super Bowl. Sometimes it's kind of normally not. Running back don't really have high achievement in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Now they might in the receiving department. It happens a lot. Christian McCaffrey today.
Sure.
I don't think Pacheco. I don't know if he logged any receptions. Let me see
maybe
right here.
One or
he had 6 for 33. Okay. So I mean, he rushed for more. He had 59 yards rushing.
What was his yard per carry?
But that's the thing. Yeah,
3.7.
McCaffrey had 3.6. Pacheco 3.3.
Yeah.
Same thing with last year. I don't think the running backs had a great Super Bowl last year. They tend to not. James White had the great one, but it was mostly receiving.
Right.
He caught touchdown here and there, and then run one. But it's kind of funny how running backs, they tend to not have those great Super Bowls.
Right.
Even with us, Corey Clement, back in 2017,
he
was all 100 yards receiving. But it's funny. It seems like it's more of a receiving game in the Super Bowl than a rushing game.
We had the 3 running backs too back then. So
yeah, and they still played well. But it's just funny how it seems like the Super Bowl is not a big running back game. They both fumbled
Kansas
today.
City tried.
Yeah.
They kept trying it, but man, it just didn't work.
Yeah, they both fumbled today, of course. Those were the most notable plays of the game, really. Both happened on their first times in the red zone. I think McCaffrey was right outside the red zone, so they weren't technically in it.
Right.
But the Pacheco, he fumbled at the 7 yard line.
Around, yeah.
So, yeah, not a great game for the running backs. But as far as the receiving receivers, kind of interesting to see that Deebo and Ayuk weren't the leading
under
receiver.
50 each.
Yeah. Under 50 each. Ayuk had 49, so he was the most by receivers.
Right.
Jawan Jennings, though, had the best game as a receiver, but Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, Jennings was going for MVP if they had won that game.
He was. He really was.
I mean, he threw a touchdown. He ran for a touchdown. Caught one.
So the first player to throw and catch a touchdown since Super Bowl 52, MVP.
Nick
Foles. There he is, right there.
There he is. Yes.
Beautiful man.
That's catching the touchdown there.
And he won. So.
Yeah. And he threw 3 touchdowns? How many touchdowns?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
But, as far as the receivers, I was expecting a little bit more from Deebo. Only had 33 yards receiving. He only had 8 yards rushing. So kind of
how many carries?
Underachieved game from him. Only 3.
Okay, because I know the one time he ran right and he kind of got blasted.
Yeah. So 3 rushes for 8 yards.
Yeah.
And then 3 catches for 33 yards. Really underachieving game by all the receivers. Really, Christian McCaffrey, of course, had the big touchdown, the 24-yard touchdown. So that was most of his yards. And then he had the big play from Purdy when he got out. When he kind of was getting tackled, he threw it to the left.
The little flip pass.
Yeah, big play there.
That was close.
Big play there too.
That looked like he might have taken it in.
He was getting close to it.
He's a great player.
Yeah. On the Chiefs side, as always, of course, Travis Kelsey, 9 for 93. Did you expect anything less? Mecole Hardman had a better game than expected. 3 receptions, 57 yards, and a touchdown, the game-winning touchdown.
Yes.
Justin Watson did pretty well for him, 3 for 54.
He was big early.
Yeah.
Kelsey was kind of quiet early, it seemed. Anyway.
Rashee Rice was kind of quiet. He did have 6 catches for 39 yards, so not a great yards per catch, but he had a huge first down.
Right.
The 13-yard gain, that was for a first down. That was a huge play. And other than that, mostly, 33, 22, 20. Just no one had a huge game as a receiver.
Right.
Just a lot of receivers were in the game. Just, there was each team had 9 people catch a ball.
The other thing was
9 people.
No passes over 20 yards.
You know
what I mean? They're in the air. Well, there was the one big one that KC hit.
Yeah, Mahomes had a 52-yarder, but you're right. But you're right.
The rest of them
were 25 and mostly under. It was actually, you expected maybe a little bit more, but it's funny. You said at one point, you were like, they're about to go deep here, and it was in overtime while they were driving.
And you said,
like, they can't do it. And
Too
he
risky.
steps back to go deep.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're right. And then he dumped it off, and I was like,
I think Romo said something about it.
He said that would have been picked.
Might have got picked, yeah. So. But no, I could feel the ebb and flow of the game. They were driving.
Yeah.
Now they're at the 40 or the 35, and I'm like, they got to score a touchdown to win the game. They can't throw an interception, obviously.
Yeah.
And you were like, no, man, just keep. And I'm like, yeah, but the I'm not saying I want them to do it, but it was just the time.
Yeah.
It's just let's see if we can hit one deep. I don't know who he'd throw to because they probably wouldn't catch it, but he definitely hit Kelsey with a couple big ones there. That one first down, kind of late when he cut left. He went pretty far. I thought when he blew that guy's shoulder out, I thought he was going to take it into the end zone. But and then of course I thought Mahomes was going to run it in at one point there. Yeah. But no, it ended up being a great game. So I'm glad because we started about 10 o'clock this morning, sitting around the house going, "Oh, this game's going to be awful,
terrible." I expected a better game as far as high scoring, but I was still just not excited to watch this game. I was bummed. I didn't want to see this damn game. Yeah, but I'm pretty happy with the outcome of it.
So let's get some fresh teams in there next year, guys.
Please, or the Eagles.
That's a gimme. Yes,
that's a gimme. Dad, do you have a play of the game?
Well, I would have to say it was probably that pass to Travis Kelsey when he cut across to the left side and went all the way down to the 10-yard line. That was huge.
Yes, I know what you mean.
So yeah,
what was that gain of? I don't remember what the gain was.
26, 20 something, 23 maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know if that was the game-winning drive. It wasn't. That must have been the field goal.
It must have been. It was the field goal.
Yeah, but I thought for sure they were going to score a touchdown there.
Mine is on 4th and 1. Mahomes, they were on their own 34, and the keeper when he faked the handoff, faked the pass out, and then took it for 8 yards. It was nice to see Bosa he went in for the tackle on the running back. He saw he had it, and he ran back, and once he got the first down, he went where are you guys at? That's your spot, buddy. You're supposed to box the quarterback. Kind of funny, but it was just funny to see him blame his teammates because he's a jerk.
The only other thing I really have to say, Baz, is it seemed to me like there was about 2 or 3 really bad spots on
I'd get
catches, and I argued with you on one, and
I'd get you there.
He didn't get it, but he was closer.
Yeah.
And then the Kelsey one was short, and then of course that one dive by the Niners guy that they said he took 2 steps, but he only took 2 steps.
Such an incomplete pass.
The ball hit the ground and he didn't finish the catch.
That was such an incomplete pass.
Just kind of weird to me.
That made me sick.
I mean, they said it was a football move, but
gotta be kidding me.
Kind of
you got to take a closer look at
2 steps as you're trying to catch the ball.
I can't believe
you didn't catch it and make 2 moves or make 2 steps or whatever they call it.
I can't believe Andy didn't challenge that. That was horrible.
That was weird.
This game did make me second guess.
But Andy called that timeout early in the second quarter. Sorry, early in the third quarter, which was
so bad.
I looked at you and I said, "Andy's back." I mean, you can't do that.
For those of you who don't remember,
do that.
Andy Reid, of course, was the Eagles' coach. You know that part, but he was terrible at clock management. He's kind of the reason we lost the 2004 Super Bowl. The last time a team won 2 Super Bowls in a row. But kind of the reason we lost was because of terrible clock management by Andy, and that's just kind of who he is. Yeah. And it looked like it was about to happen again. When they called that timeout, I was like, dude,
they lost the game.
They just lost the game.
Yeah.
Like I was, you can't do that. But the defense just played so much better than I thought. But jumping off the Super Bowl, you have any last thoughts?
No, I don't. I'm just glad it was. It ended up being something we could celebrate.
Better than it could have been. It could have been so much worse. It could have been a much worse night. Let's go and head over to a segment I like to call Comment Section, or should I call it Comment Karma? I'm going to pull up some Niners comments from OETP, our Eagles Therapy Podcast, episode 25, which was the Niners-Eagles recap game where I did by myself because my dad was in Chicago.
Oh, that's right.
And we got ripped apart. I'm going to give some shout-outs and some well, I don't know, duds, I should say. Let's start off with this nice first one. This guy, Rick Hudnall 3068. I'm a Niners fan, and I'm here to say you are a class fan. No crying, no ref whining, just brutal honesty. Not many men are men enough to stand up when their team lets them down. I've been a Niners fan a long time and lived it for many years, brother. I expect we will see a much better game next time. Shout out to you. Thank you for your kind words. Like I said, you were one of the guys who was very supportive, and we appreciate it. I'm sorry for your loss. I'm sorry you had to experience that. Let's go into another one. Let's go into another one. Oh, there we go. T. Juarez 7092. The Niners are bullies. Ask the Rams, Seahawks, Cardinals, and the Cowboys. I hope this is a wake-up call for the Eagles and they figure out their issues. We'll see you again in the playoffs. The story isn't done yet. The story is done now, buddy. Congratulations on your loss, and congratulations on your great comment. What, you didn't want me to do this?
No, I'm fine. I'm
fine
with it.
I think this is
Believe me,
fun.
I answered every single one of those comments while I was sitting in class in Chicago taking some training. So it was crazy that day because you did the pod, and then the next day it just blew up. I mean,
next shout out,
hitting with comments all day.
Next shout out to Jason Yee 8284, very nice guy. Bro, you see, as a Niners fan, we barely get a real Eagles fan that doesn't BS and make excuses. GG's, bro, you got a new sub. Appreciate your support. I'm sorry that you had to experience this loss. And thank you very much for your continued support and everything like that. Oh, to Civic 2323, bang, bang, Niner gang. Oh, where was that tonight, buddy?
Yeah.
Getting banged up by your own team.
Well, it's funny because we kept getting a lot of those bang, bang, Niner gang. And finally I said to one of the commenters, I said, hey, what's that mean? I mean, I don't know what it is. Everyone in the country knows the Fly Eagles Fly is because everyone's secretly an Eagles fan. But Bang Bang Niner Gang, I didn't know what the heck it was. So he did go back and tell me a little bit of history of on it, where it came from. And I thought, thanks for the comment. Thanks for letting me know. Now I'm a informed fan. You know, it's kind of cool.
To Boss Life with 3 S's, Boss Life. We learned that y'all can't hang with the Niners. Well, we learned that y'all can't hang with the Chiefs, just like the Eagles couldn't last year. So, congratulations on your comment. Oh, this one, Big with 2 G's, 9399. Go Niners, red heart, yellow heart. That's right, buddy. Go Chiefs, red heart, yellow heart. Same colors. Kind of weird that he chose that. Interesting. Glock Purdy is pretty good. Glock Purdy seemed pretty average to me today, buddy. I don't know how you feel about that one, but...
Yeah. Well, no, it's funny because I have been calling out Purdy all season. And in the playoffs, the 2 games prior to this Super Bowl, the guy throws it 8 yards, 10 yards, quick pass, nothing deep, never. He's got a nice, pretty pass. There was that one pass out on the left side, but you can count on maybe 2 or 3 decent deep passes, and that's it. So you don't really have to play him deep. You got to play him short. These guys don't understand that. I don't know why, but he constantly hits those quick, hit passes. Yeah. Get your linebackers in the middle of the field, like you were saying, get your hands up.
Well, I don't know if you remember the Lions game when he threw a deep pass and it was terrible. It was overthrown, and the luck of hand of God came down to help Brandon Ayuk
I do
get
remember
lucky
that.
enough to catch that. To Mike Brown /IG30M. Thought y'all were going to a football game on Sunday and ended up in a boat race instead. Who's in the boat race now, buddy? Because
somebody's boat sink.
You didn't win a boat, did you?
The sails have fallen.
And you haven't won a boat this century. Sit on down in your boat and keep on rowing.
What year is it again? 2024.
I'm listening. Wow. Ha, 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 ha. Go Niners. You thought you were good, LOL. You thought you were gonna win the Super Bowl. You didn't. That was from the Niner fan, 87.
And I hope nobody lost a lot of money on that game, too, because it would really hurt my feelings to find that out.
D. Bowie, 70. Go Birds, laughing face. Go Niners. Bang, bang, Niner gang. Oh, here we go. Bang, bang, Niner game. If you lose in Dallas, you face the same Niners in Santa Clara. Sorry. Well, guess who you faced today in Vegas? The Chiefs. And you couldn't win it, buddy. You couldn't even get you didn't even have a chance. I can't believe they thought they had a chance at winning this game. Even they were the overdogs, too. They were facing, the Chiefs were the underdogs. And they really thought they were going to win.
I don't know who made that up, but you got to know better.
Oh, here we go. The Kimura 0311. Bang, bang, Niner, gang. Dad said, thanks for dropping by. What's with this bang, bang, Niner gang thing?
Yeah.
I always remember
that.
He
explained it.
He explained it.
So that was cool.
Which was nice of him. Thanks for doing that. You lost in grand fashion. I think this will take the wind out of your sails down the stretch. You lost in grand fashion today. I think it's going to take the wind out of your franchise for a little bit.
Let's hope so. Well, when you do lose the Super Bowl, let's hope, or maybe they'll start 10-1 and then lose 6 of the last 7 games. Who knows? You never know.
To Todd Williams, 5906, thank you for being a nice guy. The Eagles were feared before Sunday. I thought it was a toss-up before the game. I knew we were looking good. You understand how we felt last year. Good luck, go Niners. Appreciate your support. Thank you for your kind comment. I'm sorry for your loss today. Ooh, Boss Life again. The same guy commented twice. Cry, Eagles, cry.
Oh, that was another big one.
Bang, bang, Niner gang.
It's funny because that Cry, Eagles, cry was a big one for that day.
Eduardo, EDIOS8213. Here comes the whining.
Yeah.
The whining.
Yeah.
Aren't you guys the 40 whiners?
Almost lost to the Cheeseheads, too. Go with that one.
Oh, my gosh. Almost lost to the Lions. Could you imagine almost losing to that sad franchise?
I would have given us a little help, though, in the Super Bowl. I would have been able to pull for somebody.
I know. It would have been really nice.
To win.
No, not. It would have been really nice if we had someone. Oh, well, I found the recap. Expected. Go Niners. Yep, that's Mega Bunny 7-5. Ooh, Raul. Rubal Kava 5063. Cry, Eagles, cry. Good one. Never heard that before. Well, bang, bang, Niners game.
So, Eduardo, he hit me up several times there.
Oh, yeah.
He's back and forth.
Oh, same guy again. Raul. Talk is cheap for the Eagles. Well, you just lost the Super, buddy. Yeah. You better not see you in the comment section this time. Bang, bang, Niner game.
I'd rather lose a regular season game than a Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, and then lastly, Bubba Birtle 4693. Number one blame should be the 49ers. Number one blame should be the Kansas City Chiefs. You got anything else, Dad?
No, I don't. But it was a great day. I'm glad that the season was saved, so we were able to see the 49ers go down, which was nice because we, like I said, we had
wonderful.
Especially our friends out at Padre Murphy's in Phoenix. With, I'm sure that place had 400 people in that bar tonight. It would have been great.
I would have loved.
Of course, you can't see any other games in that bar, so
that's a
good luck
bar.
to you.
That bar is so horrible.
Yeah, I gave him a nice Google review.
Me too.
We'll see what happens.
Oh, that's a terrible bar.
But
don't ever go there.
It would have been nice to be a fly on the wall. I would have enjoyed myself.
Yeah, that would have been fun. We were there. We were there the day of the Niners. Browns game.
Yes.
When Moody missed the field goal to win the game, they lost that game. That was wonderful. We were in that bar. We didn't know it was a Niners bar. We kind of heard, but we didn't know. And it's a big Niners bar. Wow. Like it's big. Huge. It was huge. And we were like, man, this is kind of scary. And then they lost. And we had to do our best not to cheer because man, all these Niners fans, they would have been mad and they were all drunk, of course, because they're Niners fans.
Well, no, they were. Well, it was kind of crazy. And like I say, I told you this story as the game was going on. It was getting late. They had a DJ, and he was making announcements. It was pretty cool. But he was telling them when to cheer, so I didn't really think that was
interesting.
Cool.
Yeah.
Why tell me to cheer? I know when to say defense, and they can't hear me anyway. But but they would bring out big trays of shots, and I'm like, who's paying for all these things?
Right.
There's 50 shots on this plate, man. It's crazy.
All right, well, it continues to be a good century as the Niners and the Cowboys still have not won a Super Bowl since my birth.
That's right.
Since the new millennium. So very nice to see that happen, and congrats to the Chiefs again. Hats off to the Niners. I'm not going to talk smack the entire time. Hey, they played a great game.
Shout out to all the people that listened to us this season and commented and thumbs up and subscribed.
Yeah,
appreciate it. We've had a lot of fun this season with it. We are going to continue, but that's awesome.
For sure. Yep. All right. Well, we'll probably be back maybe next week sometime, maybe Friday, Saturday. We'll see how it goes. But let's say our goodbye here. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. If you like our Eagles Therapy podcast, do us a favor, like and subscribe. If you're a Niners fan, get down in those comments.
Come on.
Keep on ripping us if you have the ability to.
Yeah.
You should have your phone privileges taken away after that embarrassing loss. But if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. You can email us any questions at oureaglestherapy@gmail.com. But other than that, from us here at Our Eagles Therapy Podcast, happy Super Bowl day. My name is Basil.
And I'm Baz.
Go Birds.
And fly, Eagles fly.